Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Next Team podcast. And this is episode 2 of our Formula 1 podcast series. So, today I am joined by a very bare bones crew, I would say. Not a lot of people up here on the TNT pit wall. I'm your host, Tarun, and joining me we have Vikas and Yash.
What's up, guys?
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Guys? What's going on?
Yeah, pretty
Very
good.
good lah. Verstappen won.
Yeah,
It's been a
I
good
was
weekend.
basically on Twitter throughout the Monaco GP, so that sums up the race, I guess.
It's a good way not to fall asleep, which is more than can be said for a lot of people watching the Monaco GP. We are of course joining you. We are of course recording this a couple days after the Monaco GP. So, before we get started, I'd just like to say, thank you everyone for all your support, and we really do appreciate all your likes and all your listens. So please do continue supporting us. We would really love it. And you can follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. You can follow us on Spotify. We are on both these places as The Next Team Podcast. And you can also follow us on Instagram at The Next Team SG, so that you can stay updated with all our new content. And also, before we start with the race proper, before we start with the episode proper, we did get some unfortunate news, some sad news in the world of F1, and that is Max Mosley has recently passed away after a battle with cancer. And he's a former F1 president, former FIA president, and he has done a lot for the sport in terms of safety, especially. And I'm sure the FIA are better off having had him at their helm. And the world of F1 certainly mourns his passing. So, moving on to our episode for today, starting off with the Monaco GP. We all know how it's always been a nail-biting, action-packed Grand Prix. I'm kidding, of course. Commonly known as one of the most boring races on the calendar year, but it's always been the crown jewel of F1, and this year was a little bit different because of all the COVID regulations. Not a lot of people, not a lot of partying, but it was still a pretty important weekend for this year's championship, I would say. So let's get started talking about that. So first of all, this was announced before the race weekend. In fact, it was McLaren's new livery, a commemoration of their partnership with Gulf. So Yash, what do you think? Was it a good livery?
Yeah, I feel we should start a petition to actually keep that the permanent livery for the rest of the season. It was that great. Like, I really loved it. There was a bit of a retro throwback as well by the drivers, where they have the very different retro helmets. If you had a look, both Lando and Daniel Ricciardo.
Right.
So that was actually it was a very nice touch, and I really loved the livery. I wish they could keep that livery moving forward, but of course we all know this was a one-off livery, and of course it was a very great race result for McLaren as well, getting a podium with that livery. So very happy.
McLaren are now the first team to run a special livery and not have a bad weekend after Ferrari and Mercedes.
Yeah. With
their respective one-off liveries. But there was just some talk among Twitter and stuff about allowing teams to run one-off liveries once every season. So what do you guys think of this idea?
I think it's definitely good for the fans at the very least. I mean, it's a refreshing change of, I guess. I mean, you would want to see a different color from your usual, your livery. And like for McLaren, it was a pretty nice design. Personally, I liked it. And I enjoyed Ferrari's one as well last season. And I think it should be something that allowed in the sport itself. And I think it's especially good for the fans, I feel. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So then, moving into the race weekend proper, Saturday, of course, was where we had all the action with Charles Leclerc taking a very historic pole position. Of course, it didn't really work out for him on Sunday.
I wouldn't say
But,
historic, more controversial.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, we can start by talking about that. So, well, of course, it was a good weekend for Ferrari in general. I think, even looking past the whole Leclerc thing, with Sainz picking up a really good result, I would say.
Yeah. I thought he was quick all the way through, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He showed a lot of pace. Apparently, before Leclerc actually out-qualified him, I was watching the race. The commentator was saying that Sainz has out-qualified his teammate in every race at Monaco before the current race. So Sainz has typically done pretty well at Monaco. And I think that showed on both the Saturday and the Sunday. And I think if let's say Leclerc hadn't crashed, I think he would have actually given Leclerc a run for his money, because he was really doing pretty well. Him and Verstappen were pretty neck and neck, and we never know until maybe Leclerc didn't crash. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, like to me, I feel.
Yash, any thoughts?
Yeah, to me, I feel Sainz this season has been the standout driver in terms of everyone who has been, in a new car. And Sainz, I think from the very get-go, he has been up there almost with Charles. Maybe the race is falling a bit behind, but it's not too much of a concern, because I think he's the closest, driver who has been in a new car against the driver who's already established in the team. I mean, if you look at some other drivers such as Alonso, Ricardo, Yuki, even Perez at times, they're really struggling against Max, or the driver who is in their team. Whereas for Carlos, he's always quickly found the pace to get up to speed. So to me, I feel Carlos did a fantastic job. And I feel, to me, this was a really, really big missed opportunity for Charles Leclerc. Now, obviously, there's this controversy of his crash, whether was it deliberate. And to me, obviously, I know that it's not deliberate, because, ultimately that crash actually cost him his race. Because even though Ferrari thought that his gearbox was completely fine, which was actually true, the gearbox is fine. But what they didn't know was that the crash actually damaged the left driver shaft of the car. And they could only know that once the car was actually running and on the track. So because of that, Charles didn't even start his home Grand Prix, which is, quite heartbreaking, honestly. Like, I was so gutted for him. Like, he just can't catch a break at Monaco, Charles. So, yeah.
I mean, if it was deliberate, I think Ferrari look like idiots right now.
Yeah. I mean, this similar incident happened in 2014, where Rosberg and Hamilton were challenging for pole position, and Rosberg had the provisional pole, and he was in front of Hamilton in Monaco, and then he basically outbraked himself and went into the escape road, causing double wave yellow flags, and that basically ruined Hamilton's lap. And Hamilton came onto the radio saying that was very nice of Nico to guarantee pole position. So yeah, but of course, I'm pretty sure Charles didn't intend to, and Monaco is a track of very fine margins where even a little slightest of mistakes is going to cost you, and that's what happened to Charles. He just turned in a fraction second sooner, which was why he clipped the inner barrier, and that sent him straight into the wall. So yeah, quite unfortunate. But yeah, great result for Ferrari in the end. Getting second place, and it's quite unusual to see Ferrari up at the front. We have gotten used to seeing them at the back, so it was really great to see them up there, I would say.
It'll be interesting to see if this is just a one-off race for Ferrari. Maybe it's the streets of Monaco give them a little something more to cling on to as they go around. Do you think they can sustain this kind of pace over the following races?
I think probably the street circuits, maybe. But apart from that, I think Mercedes and Red Bull are pretty strong, and quite unlikely they're going to really challenge the dominance of these two teams. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Fair enough. Yep. We do have Azerbaijan up next, Baku, another street circuit, some tight, twisty corners. So maybe Ferrari can still have something to show us on on the twists and turns of the track.
Yeah, I think as a neutral, you want to see Ferrari challenge as well, because the more teams are challenging. I mean, you saw the podium for this Grand Prix. I mean, it was such a refreshing change to see like Verstappen, Sainz, and Norris up on the podium, and I think we want to see more such races, and hopefully Ferrari can do the same and give us more interesting races.
Yep. Of course, we are seeing some new podiums, and that's always interesting.
Yeah, like
But
to me, I felt that Ferrari in this season has really improved their car in the slow speed corners, which is what they struggled a bit last season as well. Like even though they had a very good, they had a decent car, but then despite the engine problems they had last season, it was still slow in the aero part. And I think this season, Monaco is a track where you run the highest aero, basically running the highest downforce you need, and it really showed.
Yep.
Because historically speaking, low downforce, like high downforce tracks are actually Ferrari's strength. Like Singapore is another track which is Ferrari generally run pretty good in such tracks. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see if how this all plays out, because it definitely seems Ferrari have improved a lot from last season, and it's gonna be nice to see them if they can challenge up front.
Yep, that's true. And well, speaking of upfront, we do have to talk about Mercedes's a very, very poor weekend for them. It was just all around. It was bad. I'm saying this as a Mercedes fan, of course. We just looked off the pace through practice, off the pace through qualifying, and the fact that Bottas was even that high up in the first place, that was quite a surprise for me, I would say. And it was just really, really unlucky for him as well, that with the tire nut getting machined down. So what do you think, Yash, as a McLaren fan? How would you rate Mercedes' weekend at Monaco?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I would obviously say this was one of Mercedes' worst race in, I can't remember, quite some time, where I think the main issue Mercedes had throughout the Grand Prix was getting the tires heated up as quickly as the rivals. And that's the main issue they face. And what Mercedes did, if I'm not wrong, is right before qualifying, they actually made setup changes on both the cars. And apparently it turns out that setup change helped Bottas quite a bit. But Hamilton still struggled with that same setup change, which is why Bottas was still up front there, in qualifying, although not quite up there, but he was there, in the second row at least. That's what Mercedes did, and then in the race, you clearly saw that issue come up again, where Hamilton just struggled to get past, Gasly, and when Hamilton, or rather Mercedes, tried to do the undercut, which usually works very well. In this case, it didn't work, because what happened was on the outlap of Hamilton's, he just couldn't get the grip and temperature up into the tires as quickly as he would like, which hampered his pace, and that just allowed Gasly to get the overcut a lot more effective in this circumstance. And yeah, that basically cost Hamilton the race. I mean, Vettel overcut both of them, and then even Perez overcut the trio of them, basically. So yeah, it was a very weird Grand Prix for Hamilton. And then for Bottas, I feel very sorry for him, because this Grand Prix, this was a Grand Prix where he was on the front foot from the get-go compared to Hamilton. He was doing a lot better than Hamilton in practice session and qualifying as well. And then his race just got ruined because of a wheel nut, basically, unfortunately. So I feel
all the ways to get your weekend ruined.
Exactly.
That was probably one of the worst.
Exactly. And I feel very sorry for him, because this pit stop issues always seem to happen to him, not Hamilton, but it just happened to him. Like it's a curse on that Bottas car. I can't remember his car number now, but there's a curse on his car, basically. So it's just really sad, because I really felt this race he was doing a lot better job compared to what the Mercedes car was capable of doing, I would say.
Yep. Because you started to say something.
Oh no, I wasn't. I mean, personally, I felt like I was quite surprised with Hamilton's lack of pace. I don't know. my prediction before the race started for Monaco was that he will win the race, but I was surprised he wasn't even able to, challenge for the top three. But it's for me as a Red Bull fan. I think it's nice to see Mercedes fail, and as a F1 fan, it's nice to see a podium filled with drivers from 3 different teams, and I mean, personally, I hope that Mercedes have more weekends like this, actually.
Well, yes. I mean, obviously, I don't hope that, but we will see. We will see. Time will tell. And we did mention Seb Vettel with the overcut, didn't we? And that was really, really effective for Aston Martin. In fact, both the Astons had a really good race. The team in general, double points finish. I guess I would say it was their best race weekend this year, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I think so. Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah. So that was it was tactically it was a really, really good day for them. But who didn't have one person who didn't have a good day was the TV director.
Oh man, it was so awful throughout the Grand Prix.
Yeah, it was just bad. I mean, Monaco is never easy to direct, I guess, because you typically don't have that much action going on. But really, to cut away from Vettel, wasn't it, as he was going past?
Yeah, and you see, that was the only action moment we had throughout the Grand Prix, and the TV director decided to, nope, you're not going to see this today. I was furious because I was literally on my seat seeing Vettel and Gasly side by side, and I was like, where the hell did this, suddenly seeing Stroll flying through a curb,
right.
I don't know, man. Yeah, it was just an awful day for the TV direction. And actually, I think there's a reason for that. From what I read, was that Monaco actually internally hosts or broadcasts their own coverage. So it's not done by FOM. So FOM just gets all the cameras and things ready, but then the entire direction of what they want to show, it's internally done by Monaco. It's like a special agreement between Monaco and FIA and F1, I think. So
I see.
Yeah.
Because I have to say this year the TV direction has been quite good. Before this race, but other than that, it's been pretty decent. And when I saw that, it was just a bit awkward.
Yeah, I mean, not just a race. This issue was there since quali as well, where on qualifying they were showing cars which were basically on their out laps rather than showing cars who were on their flying laps, which was a bit odd. And then also when Charles hit the wall, Charles was actually on a flying lap, and they didn't even show that lap, and we suddenly just see Charles into the wall out of nowhere, So yeah, it was just quite a poor weekend in my opinion. And even the opening, I think, when the race, you're all hyped with the theme music and everything, and then you hear David Croft in the background talking about this Grand Prix circuit and everything, and that Croft's voice was nowhere as well. I don't know if you guys noticed it.
Right, I did.
Yeah, I was watching.
I was watching it and we're just thinking, oh no, what happened to his mic? What happened to his voice?
Yeah.
Kind of just ruined the moment.
Exactly. It just ruined the hype for me, I would say. Hype for Monaco. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Unfortunately, they had a bad weekend. And then I hope, going forward, FIA actually take this into account. And I don't know why they have this own special agreement of, Monaco hosting and broadcasting their own coverage. But I hope in going forward, this would change and FOM would just be the ones, broadcasting every single race and not giving exclusive rights to the host series.
Yeah, that would just really make it easier, I think, overall.
Yep.
When you just standardize these kind of things. But yeah, going back to the move at hand, Sebastian Vettel, of course, going on Pierre Gasly. I mean, honestly, both of them have had a really, really, really good race, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely nobody expected Gasly to be fighting, not say fighting maybe, but nobody expected Gasly to be in top 6. Nobody definitely expected Vettel to be top 5, given how Aston Martin has been this year. What do you guys think? Did anyone expect this?
No, I mean,
any of you?
we predicted we were talking about it last episode, right? like how AlphaTauri are like underperforming this season.
Yeah,
and
were.
yeah, it was definitely a surprise to see them up there. And I thought, I mean, initially when I thought Hamilton was like charging at Gasly for quite some time, and I thought he'll get the move done eventually, but it never came. And yeah, I mean, I didn't expect that, honestly. I thought eventually Hamilton would probably overtake Gasly on the undercut, but it didn't happen. But yeah, kudos to both these drivers for actually keeping their, I guess for Vettel, his racecraft and experience, and for Gasly, well, he managed to keep hold of his position. So yeah, kudos to both of them.
Yeah, to me, I feel that it's just too hard to overtake in Monaco, you know, like this generation's F1 cars, which are just so wide. And if I'm not wrong, from next year, we're going to include even wider tyres for some reason, which look good, don't get me wrong, but on tracks like Monaco, it's just not going to work. It's going to be a single file train all the way. And that's what happened, basically. Like Hamilton, arguably, he was probably faster than Gasly. But then there's just you can't overtake at Monaco, you know. There's just no place for you to overtake. And even the one place, which is the start-finish straight after the DRS zone, the zone is just too short to overtake. So, yeah, and for Vettel, I mean, I'm really happy for him, man. Like, last season was tough for him at Ferrari. And this season, he hasn't had the best of starts. And if I'm not wrong, this is his first point in the Aston Martin. He has not got any points before this race.
I think you're right. Yeah,
I believe he.
Yeah, and what a way to show back. I mean, he was, I think, P8. He qualified P8, I think. And he was P8 or P7, I can't really remember. And he overcut basically two drivers, both Gasly and Hamilton, you know, which was great.
Yeah.
So that just shows his in-lap, which he made into the pits, was magnificent, although we didn't get to see it. So, yeah, kudos to him. I'm really happy for him. It's good to see him smiling again. He got the driver of the day as well, which was really nice.
Well deserved, I would say.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. So, yeah, a really good weekend all around for Aston Martin. And even for Gasly, like we said, AlphaTauri, they've had quite a difficult season, where you can see Yuki struggling in the car, which is, I guess, a little understandable because, you know, he's a rookie in the sport. But Gasly he has been overperforming out of the car since he's been back at AlphaTauri, really. And it's really good to see him up there as well. You know, very nice guy, and I really hope someday he'll get a, you know, championship winning car.
Do you guys think that AlphaTauri can be considered a sister team to Red Bull, like what Horner said towards the end of last season? Or do you guys think it's they're not? I mean, they're too far away from that.
I mean, in a way, I think they are kind of a sister team to Red Bull because Red Bull basically hire the drivers and everything for AlphaTauri as well.
Yeah.
So they basically get the upper say. You know, let's say if they want to put Yuki or Albon into that AlphaTauri set, they get a higher say, and then, you know, basically the bosses at AlphaTauri just sort of follow their way through. But of course, in terms of car making and design, AlphaTauri design their own cars and everything. So it's more of like a driver academy system, I would say. Like, you know, how in football we have youth teams. So like AlphaTauri is Red Bull's testing ground to test, you know, their young drivers. And then once, let's say, they prove themselves in the F1 in the sister car, then they'll try to push them up to the, you know, major sport, which is in Red Bull.
Yeah.
But do you think we'll reach a point where AlphaTauri become fast enough to compete with the likes of the McLarens or the Ferraris and the Red Bulls and even the Mercedes, maybe?
I would say that's a very good possibility, you know, because like the regulations which are coming in next year from 2022, those are meant to exactly do that, like close the gap between the midfield and the top teams. So it's hard to tell because ultimately we do not know how much of resources each team has. And definitely the big teams have a lot of better facilities, better resources, and better technical people as well in the, you know, technical departments, which of course help you to develop better cars. So it'll be interesting to see, but at least at the moment, I would say it's a little far-fetched, but definitely AlphaTauri can close the gap, like bridge the gap to Red Bull, I would say. Yep.
Okay. And well, speaking of bridging the gap, I would say Alfa Romeo have done a pretty good job at that. And Giovinazzi finishing 10th, wasn't it? Yeah, finished 10th. And Monaco, that was a really good race for him, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. I think Giovinazzi has really shown, there was a lot of critics against him saying that does he even deserve the Alfa Romeo seat? Maybe they should just put Mick Schumacher in that seat instead, instead of the Haas seat, or get Callum Ilott in from the Ferrari Driver Academy. So it was very good to see Giovinazzi, because I think, if I'm not wrong, throughout the season, Gio has been a lot better than Kimi, I would say. And this was Alfa Romeo, my bad. Alfa Romeo's first points of the season as well, first Q3 as well in quite some time. So yeah, it's good to see Gio. I really like him. I think he's a great driver, and yeah, it's. I hope he can continue this consistent form which he's showing, because I don't think there's any other better driver who can take that Alfa Romeo seat, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I feel like Giovinazzi is the driver who doesn't get a lot of credit for what he's doing. He's really a classy driver. He's not a very controversial kind of driver. He gets in there, he does his thing.
And he rarely makes mistakes as well.
Yeah, he's rarely put a foot wrong this season. And even going back to last season, I don't think he had any noticeable mistakes or anything. In fact, this season, I think his team has let him down more than he has let the team down, when you think about it. Going back to Barcelona with the pit stop.
Yep.
That was unlucky. But really, I think he's shown that he is capable of being a good driver, and given a good car, who knows what he can do, right?
Yeah, I think it's his first point for Alfa Romeo this season.
It's Alfa Romeo's first point this season, if I'm not wrong.
And if I'm not wrong, he's also Ferrari's reserve driver. So in case, touch wood, if either Leclerc or Sainz has some illness or gets injured, they could move him up, like how Mercedes did with Williams, where they moved George up to the Mercedes seat for Sakir. They could do something like that as well for Ferrari. So yeah, let's see going forward. Definitely he has a good future. I think he deserves his seat. He should, he definitely should be in F1. The only question is he up to the task of being in a top team? That is debatable. But you can't doubt him, because he's a solid midfield driver, in my opinion, at least.
Yep, definitely. So, well, I think that sums up the whole race weekend. Really, again, not a whole lot to cover because it is Monaco. Do you guys have anything else to add on?
I mean, personally, I was quite surprised with Ricciardo's pace. I don't know what Yash feels about it.
Yeah, I mean, Ricciardo, what can I say about him this season? It's just been a little up and down, where in Spain he was a lot better than Lando, and then suddenly in Monaco, which is arguably Ricciardo's favorite track, and a track which he has very fond and also a lot of hard memories at with that 2016 race. So,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's really hard for me to explain Ricciardo. I mean, I'm sure it's just because, the car which he had last season in Renault is just like the McLaren, just so characteristically different from what he's used to driving. That, you need to adapt your braking, you need to adapt your steering, you need to adapt, the feel of the car is just completely different. And sometimes it suits to some drivers very quickly, like we've seen with Sainz at Ferrari. And sometimes some drivers just take a lot more time, like Ricciardo. Even Alonso is struggling this season. So, yeah, I'm sure, his time will come. But it was definitely a lot sad for me to see when Lando lapped himself to Ricciardo.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yep.
Yeah, that was hard.
That was pretty... That was tough to take for Ricciardo, probably, yeah.
Yeah, and there was like a cheeky little wave by Lando. Obviously not cheeky. I'm just starting to stir things up, but it was just it's a way to say thanks.
I would assume he just tried to be friendly, but You know, when you're Ricciardo in that car, you see your teammate lapping you. I don't think it comes off the same way.
Yep, absolutely. And also, I think Netflix will like to steer that up. Next season, season 3, trying to show that
Of course.
that handshake of Lando to Ricardo as something a lot bigger than what's already portrayed. Because they like to dramatize a lot of things. But yeah, definitely a tough weekend for Ricardo. But I have no doubts he'll bounce back because we all know he's a fantastic driver with a lot of capabilities. He's a world championship material driver, and he just needs a little bit time to feel the car, to get into the groove. And once he's in the groove, I'm pretty sure he'll, be up there with Lando. In fact, even go ahead of him, no doubt of it.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's true. It's a pretty good prediction, I would say. I do think Ricciardo can be beating Lando on pace, both on quali and Sunday. So, we do have to wait and see how that's going to pan out. But it is an interesting point about new drivers struggling in their new cars. And Ricciardo is one. Of course, we do have to talk about Fernando Alonso, for a two-time world champion to be doing as badly as he is doing now, especially when you compare him to his teammate who has finished in the points. He did finish 9th for Alpine in Monaco. So what exactly is going wrong with Fernando here?
I feel for me it's I don't know if Alonso. Obviously we all know he's a great two-time world champion, but I've always questioned his return back to F1. I've not been too welcoming of it. I feel there's a lot of other drivers who deserve the seat a lot more than Alonso did, and let's just be honest, the reason why Alonso is in that seat is just because of his name. What that Alonso name just brings to the team. So I feel that's one thing which I've always thought of when Alonso came back to Alpine. But then in terms of his, how he feels with the car as well, I don't think he's just quite up there recently. I'm pretty sure it's a situation similar to Ricciardo, where he's just trying to get fills up to the car and everything. But then I feel Alonso's situation is a bit different because, let's be honest with ourselves. Alonso is, I think, 38 or 39 years old. He's feeling the age now a little, And I'm just starting to wonder if that age is actually starting to show in his driving. Just a slight little wonder. Obviously, we won't get to see that completely. If that's the case, we need more races, more data to analyze if Alonso still got it, which is quite debatable right now. But in my opinion, I feel Alonso just not quite, man. Just not quite there. I feel like, in my opinion, the Chinese driver Zhu from F2 should have gotten that seat instead. He's doing fantastically in F2 for the past few seasons.
He's having a great season.
Yes, and he even won in Monaco this weekend in F2.
Yeah.
So yeah. But hey, it's nice to see Alonso back, but I'm just not too welcoming of him, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, in Fernando's case, I think maybe you could even point to his attitude as a factor, maybe, because, well, we did see it in his stint with McLaren before this. How, well, he's not the most the best kind of person to have as a member of your team, I would think.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you make an engine, you work so hard to make an engine for a Formula 1 car, and then someone just calls it a GP2 engine. that would be, I guess that would be a bit disheartening for you as an engineer. So, maybe that's one of the reasons why Alonso is still having trouble to adapt to his car a little bit.
And I feel that's one of the reasons why, like you said, Alonso is quite a stubborn and arrogant person in terms of personality. And whichever team he goes into, he has a lot of power in that team. We saw it in McLaren where he tried to take McLaren into a direction which he wanted, like as a driver, compared to what McLaren wanted as a team, and that led to the downfall of McLaren. And you saw the moment Alonso left McLaren started to shoot up. Obviously, there's new leadership changes. That's a whole different topic for some other day. But then you could see that the driver makes a big influence on the team. And if the driver tries to push too much power onto the team, more often than not, that is not the right decision the team, direction rather, the team should be going in. So, yeah, definitely, I agree. Like, he's quite a stubborn character. And that definitely hampers team development in some regards. But then, let's not take away, Ocon is doing a lot better, He's having a great season so far. He's outperforming the Alpine, in my opinion. So, yeah, Alonso definitely has to step up a lot more.
Yep.
I think that's the thing when you have a teammate like Esteban Ocon, who is doing so much better than you as a world champion. You should really be looking at what you are doing wrong, I think. But we did talk about drivers who are struggling with their new cars, but we also have to give props to the drivers who have adapted to their new cars pretty well. And I think Carlos Sainz has done this really well. Because you were talking to me, you were saying something about this before we started recording, right?
Yeah, I mean, I personally thought like Perez and as well as Sainz are doing pretty well. I don't know. I felt like they have actually adapted to their respective cars pretty relatively quickly, I would say. I'm looking at the Drivers' Championship right now. Perez is 5th. I mean, not ideal, but I would say he's in and around, like, I guess, the challenging for the top 3, I guess. And I mean, that's also due to Lando's fantastic performances so far this season. And but I would say it's pretty promising for both of these teams that their drivers have adapted to the car that quickly. And personally, I'm a big fan of Carlos Sainz as a driver. So I was quite encouraged to see him do well in Monaco as well. So let's see. Hopefully, he can. I guess. I mean, I would one day like to see him win a race, and let's see how it goes from there. I would say right now it's pretty promising.
Let me just give you a stat. Carlos Sainz was the only driver to beat Max Verstappen in the same machinery.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that was in Toro Rosso in 2015, when both of them, I think, were rookies. 2015 and 2016, I can't remember the exact year. But both of them were rookies, and Carlos, I think, out-qualified Max in terms of the season. And they had a very intense rivalry back then, in fact, which is why when Max actually was promoted ahead of Carlos, Carlos was quite pissed off about it. I don't know if you guys know about it. Yeah, because Carlos was a senior member at Toro Rosso back then. And Max came up one season, and he immediately was, moved up to Red Bull, and Kvyat demoted to Toro Rosso back then. So, yeah, I think Carlos is such a fantastic driver, and he's such a lovable character, in general. He's always having fun. He's very respectful of everyone. And he just has that, class. Spanish people have that class which comes along with them. He just has that class which he shows on track, off track, both. And yeah, I'm very optimistic that Carlos and Leclerc, right now it's all friendly, but once both of them have a championship winning car, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a tasty battle between both of them, because Carlos is not going to, move away from a fight, like how Ferrari have sometimes suggested that, he might be the number 2 driver. But I think Carlos is out there to prove that he's not there to be the number 2 driver, but rather the world champion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at it, both Leclerc and Carlos are not number 2 drivers. They're both leading drivers. And at some point or another, if you have 2 leading drivers like that in your team, it tends to lead to some kind of issues, some sort of friction. And well, Mercedes did experience that 2016. That was
Hamilton, Rosberg.
We know how that went down. And even before 2016, that was it was kind of like a niggling issue always, that there were these 2 really top class drivers who were both in equal machinery. So that was going to always be a point of a point of friction, really.
Mm-hmm. Do you think?
So yeah, it'll be.
But do you think, given the characters of both Leclerc and Sainz, that kind of animosity will be prevalent in the team itself?
Well, maybe you won't, might not see it too much off track, which there was quite a bit of off track incidents with Rosberg and Hamilton, but maybe given these two drivers, you won't see it as much. But on track, I really do think we will see it a lot, and especially if it comes to something like team orders, I'm confident that neither driver is going to be happy to just accept team orders and give up a place or something.
Yeah, that's a fair call. Yeah.
For me, I would say it's hard to tell right now, because let's just move back to 2014 when Rosberg and Hamilton were together, in the Mercedes since 2013. But 2014 was only when Mercedes had a very good car through which they could battle, and we should be aware that actually both Hamilton and Rosberg, they grew up together, they've competed in karting together, they were in junior championships together, and they made it to
They were
F1.
best friends, right?
Exactly,
Yep.
they were best friends, and with so much respect off track, growing up together for so many years, that relationship turned sour because the competitiveness on track was just so much. It's just hard to say. Even between Carlos and Leclerc, if you never know. Things like both of them definitely very, very great characters. Personality on off track, but then when things start to get heated up on track, they tend to move off track as well. So yeah, but definitely, no doubt, I'm pretty sure that both of them will end up, whoever it is, have enormous respect for one another. But I'm pretty sure that once Ferrari have that championship winning car, we can start to see some fireworks in the Ferrari team.
Yep, that's fair enough. I guess the stakes at the moment are not really as high to really bring out this kind of problems, this kind of animosity between drivers. But once it comes to fighting for the championship, we might be seeing a lot more action between them. Moving on to our next topic that we thought about talking about, and that is something that came up before the Monaco Grand Prix, and that was the flexi wing that Red Bull had, which obviously started off with Lewis Hamilton saying on an interview, mentioning something about Red Bull's wings bending independently of the car, and subsequently the FIA have now put in place some more testing measures to make sure that the rigidity of these parts are not compromised too much. So I think the main point to note is that technically this wing was not illegal, and so now it kind of raises the question of why is the legal part being made to, it's kind of being disqualified as a legal part in the middle of a season. Is that a fair thing to do from the FIA? What do you guys think?
I think
For me personally, okay, you can go first. Oh, okay, fine. I think for me, like what Horner said, I felt like personally, the smaller teams are the ones that are going to suffer, because if you have to change your wing midway through a season, it's going to be very expensive. I don't think Red Bull will really feel the pinch, whereas you're smaller. I think, if I'm not wrong, other teams like Ferrari, not necessarily small, but I think, if I'm not wrong, was it Alpine? I forgot which other team actually had this kind of a wing. If they were going to change it midway through the season, it's going to be a big financial hit for them. And personally, I feel like most of the teams try to find loopholes within the regulations, and they try to extract every bit of pace they can with the car and try to stay within the regulations while finding some loopholes within it. So personally, if it's already been approved by the FIA and now midway through the season you have an issue with it, I don't think it's the way to go about it. I think it should have been flagged out before the season started itself. And for me, I personally don't agree with the way it's being handled. Hope the outcome is favorable to Red Bull and all the other teams which currently have this wing.
Okay. I mean, well, we've already kind of had the outcome, which is that they do have to change it.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought it was.
Yeah, I think before France, if I'm not wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I believe it's the French Grand Prix.
So the question here
what about
now,
you?
yeah. So the question now here is
Sorry?
actually, is Red Bull still going to run this ring in Baku? And from what I hear, that Wolf actually said this on media, that if Red Bull actually run this wing in Baku, they will go ahead and protest this to the FIA and this, about this flexi wing, whatever they have. But I would say it's actually a very interesting innovation by Red Bull, where you would basically have a wing which flexes a bit in diameter, where on the straights it gives you slightly extra top speed, and then in the corners it generates a little bit more downforce. So it's actually very innovative. And if I'm not wrong, what Wolf also said is that he fears that Red Bull would actually protest Mercedes' front wing instead, where Mercedes' front wing is the one flexing a little bit, whereas for Red Bull is a rear wing. So these are just some of the things teams are doing to get that extra speed. Because this season we have had a bit of downforce reduction, so teams are just trying to find new innovative ways of gathering the loss in pace which they generally have. But I think you said that Red Bull have to change the wing by France, but I don't know if they can actually, if it's actually possible to change a wing so quickly, because obviously France is, I think, 3-4 weeks away. But then to develop a wing, because wing is a fundamental part of the car, it takes a lot of time. And if this is the only wing they probably went with, it's I mean, obviously money is not big of an issue, but of course at the same time, we have the cost caps coming in from this year, so that could play a bit of a part for Red Bull. But I mean, the only thing which I hope doesn't happen is if they do indeed have to change the wing, it doesn't cause a significant loss in pace which Red Bull already have, because right now I think Red Bull are arguably the faster car than Mercedes, in my opinion, honestly. So it's just, let's see what happens. But I think we can expect some fireworks at Baku come 2 weeks time.
Yeah, I do think so, especially since Baku has a really good mix of both long straights as well as tight corners. So if the rear wing is really as as effective as maybe Wolf says it is, then I'm sure it'll be a great race for Red Bull. So, well, talking about Red Bull and Mercedes, of course, we do have a championship battle that both their drivers are in, and both the teams are in championship battle as well. And I feel like this is going to be something that we will definitely talk about all the way to the end of the season. But for the first time now, Max has taken the lead of the driver standings, the World Driver Championship, and this is the first time in his career, right, that he's leading the championship.
Yep. It's the first time in his career.
Yep. And because this must be amazing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if I'm not wrong, for Monaco, he had the fastest ever average speed. I think in the history, if I'm not wrong, in the history of the track itself, it was about 157 kilometers per hour. I mean that is also taking into account the current technology we have in our cars. But I mean, that's still pretty impressive to me. The fact that a guy who has never led the World Championship before, actually putting up that kind of a pace. And I thought personally it was a very clinical drive on Sunday. There weren't any hiccups. Red Bull got their strategy right. And I think the fact that they're leading both the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship is well deserved in my book. Yeah.
Yep. I do think they've done a really good job with the car this season, and I really would say they are the faster car in most tracks this year. As a Mercedes fan, I do think it will be quite a struggle to be beating them in a lot of places. We do have to be playing catch up, but on one hand, it does give Mercedes drivers a bit more freedom with the strategy that they can use, which we did kind of see in Spain. We didn't really see that in Monaco, I would assume there was something that was supposed to happen in Monaco, because when things didn't really work out, Lewis Hamilton was quite upset, and he was asking where's Valtteri, I think, which suggests maybe there was something in the plans that included both him and Valtteri making a move on maybe the top drivers. But yeah, coming back to the championship, it's definitely going to go down to the wire, I think, whether Red Bull have to change a rear wing or not, whatever, is not really going to make much of a difference, because they are capable of putting out a top class car, as we have seen this year.
Yeah.
But well, from a neutral point of view, what would you say, Yash?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's obviously very great to see both Mercedes, Ferrari, Max, and Lewis, head and toe battling up for the championship. And if I'm not wrong, it's the first time since 2018 has someone overtaken Mercedes in the constructors as well. So, I mean, I'm not too sure how true that stat is, but I'm pretty sure it's a long time since anyone actually overtook Mercedes in the constructors. And this is significant, because throughout this whole hybrid era, since 2014, it's always been Mercedes at the top. They have won all the championships. And now, 5 races in, we have Red Bull leading the championship. We have Max Verstappen leading the championship. And yeah, it's going to be very close. It's great to see. Now, I just hope that this continues throughout to the end of the season, and neither the team nor the driver have a dip in form which could hamper the championship, because we have seen it in the past, where especially in 2017, Vettel was leading the championship, I think, and up until Singapore, and then since Singapore he just lost the momentum, he lost the championship, and then yeah, he basically lost the championship as a result. And even in 2018, until Germany, Sebastian was leading the championship, and he made that one mistake, and that one mistake led to another mistake and another mistake, which ultimately cost him the 2018 championship as well. So we have seen that come back in the past, where teams have a great start and eventually there is a bit of a hiccup, and then that hiccup leads to a long-term hiccup. So certainly we can only hope that Red Bull are the team which doesn't have that, because we can definitely put our hands down and say that Mercedes always bounces up. We have not seen Mercedes be in that slump for a long time. So yeah, let's just wait and see. But it's definitely, as a neutral, very nice to see this championship battle heating up, and I just hope it continues to the end of the season, man, because I don't want with like 7-8 races to go, the championship already decided, as it has been in the past few seasons. So yeah, fun. It's definitely fun times ahead, I would say.
Yash, what do you think about Lando's season so far? Like, he's right now 3rd, right? Do you think he can maintain that? Do you think that's a possibility?
I think 3rd is a bit too far-fetched, I would say, because the McLaren is still... we know that it's still a bit slower than the Red Bull. It's not quite up there on race pace, especially. Like, maybe in qualifying, Lando can do something, but race pace-wise, the McLaren is still a bit slower. So I don't think 3rd is a realistic expectation, because I'm pretty sure Bottas will come back. You also have Sergio there. So I think realistically, Lando should at least expect for 5th. But that 5th in the championship is not going to be easy, because you have Charles going for it. You have, who's the other guy? Carlos going for it.
Sainz, yep.
Yes. And yeah, that battle for the 3rd team in the Constructors is quite an interesting one, because I was just looking at the Constructors table. McLaren are ahead right now with 80 points, and Ferrari are 78. And if you compare across the season at the drivers, how they have performed, Ricciardo has not had a great season so far, and still, McLaren are 3rd in the constructors. I mean, that just shows what a phenomenal job Lando is doing in that other car, and Lando has really improved. He's become that boy everyone loves. I think it's just hard to hate him on and off track both. So yeah, definitely, I would say 3rd is a bit too far-fetched. I mean, if you get 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, that's I'll be over the moon. But I'll be happy if we settle for 5th and claim the Constructors at 3rd place.
Yep, I think McLaren will be in that fight for best of the rest after Red Bull and Mercedes. But, Ferrari will probably give them a good run for the money as well. But personally, I do think McLaren can edge Ferrari out, especially if Ricciardo starts to score points a bit more regularly.
Yeah, I mean, here's the only thing which is left to fix that puzzle, because in a way, both Ferrari drivers are doing pretty on par with each other. Whereas here it's only Ricciardo who is doing a lot worse than what his other driver is doing. So once Ricciardo gets his form up, he starts to kick the ball rolling. I think that McLaren would start to shoot up the standings a lot more.
Yep. So again, we'll have to wait a bit more to see how that goes. It's still early days, relatively, in the season. But I was just looking at this tweet. A bit more of a fun fact, I guess. The last time Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren finished on the podium in that order was 2011 Monaco.
Ooh.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep, it was a young and upcoming Red Bull youngster who won that race, and he also went on to win the championship, and that was Sebastian Vettel. So if history does repeat itself, I think Vikas will be really, really happy this year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think last episode I was talking about how Max, I guess, likes to take risks and stuff, right? I think especially Monaco, I thought like he showed a lot of maturity. Like it felt like he was in control from start to finish. And I don't know, personally, I felt like this could be like a season defining or maybe possibly career defining race for it. I don't know. But yeah, let's see. Hopefully he comes out on top on this battle. Yeah.
Yep. And I'll be hoping he doesn't, and Yash will just be hoping that it's a good race. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Moving on, we will be looking forward to the next race, which is of course Baku. That is 2 weekends away, which is 4th to 6th June. So what do we think? Yash, you want to go first? Who's going to be top on Saturday? Who's going to be top on Sunday?
I would say Baku is a very difficult one to pick because it's a track, like you mentioned before, it has very long straights, and then you have this twisty middle section, which, you need a very good downforce car in that section. So all the teams will be looking for a compromise between top speed and downforce because that middle section is important. But ultimately, I'm pretty sure a lot of teams will be running a lot lower downforce to get that extra top speed because it's, I think, almost a 2 kilometer long straight in a way, that final section.
It's a very long straight.
Yeah, it's a very long straight, and we all know DRS is so powerful. So, it's going to be hard to pick, man. Honestly, I can't make up my mind. But if I had to put my money in, I would say, because on tracks which are relatively long in terms of straights and everything, Mercedes always have the upper hand in general terms. I mean, no fault of Honda. Honda have done an amazing job this season, and I think they have a very good engine in the car. But I think on such tracks, it's always been Mercedes who have had the upper hand. So I would say Hamilton on pole, with Max behind him on second, Bottas third. And for the race, who knows, man? It's going to be so hard to predict because as long as Max, if let's say Max is in P2, as long as he stays in that 1 second, he's going to overtake Lewis for sure because that straight is just too long. So that's going to play a big part. And then we'll also see a bit of strategy as well because I think the strategy is the only way you can break that 1 second gap. I think I can only predict for the qualifying, which I would say it's going to be Hamilton. For the race, I'm just hoping it'd be a lot better race than what we have seen at Monaco because it's time we have a lot better race because it's been 2 races in a row now, Spain and Monaco, where we have not had quite a lot of action.
Yep, fair enough. That's very true of Baku, of course. Vikas, what about you?
Yeah, like what Yash said, I think Mercedes definitely will come back stronger in Baku. And for me personally, I think Hamilton will finish on top again, and followed by Max. And for third, I feel like Ferrari might surprise us once again. And I think Charles might actually pick up P3. I don't know. It's a bit of a different prediction, but let's see. I think as a neutral, we want to see more different drivers on the podium. So hopefully that comes true. Yep.
Personally, I would have to say I actually do see Max being on pole.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that might work into Mercedes' favor at some point during the race, and I am going to give the race win to Lewis.
All right.
Yeah, because it is a pretty powerful track when it comes to overtaking down the main straight. Significantly more than many other tracks. So, yeah, I think it's gonna work out well for Mercedes, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my prediction.
What about your 2 and 3?
2 and 3 for the race. 2 should be Max comfortably, I think. 3, you know what? I think I'll have to give 3 to Bottas because, he does have a bit of pace now and then, and Baku seems like his kind of track. He did win there in 2019, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll give 2 and 3 to Max and Valtteri.
But let's not forget, even McLaren, they have the Mercedes engine at the back. And they're pretty rapid in the straight now as well. So
yeah, that's very true. So I do think Lando will be giving the top 3 quite a bit of a run for their money.
Yep. And sure. Even Ricciardo, Baku is a track which Ricciardo is really good at as well. So I hope to see Ricciardo's resurgence in Baku as well. And definitely bring that McLaren together with Lando up. So yeah, it's going to be a very fun race. I'm very excited because Baku always delivers. There's a lot of controversies. There's a lot of on-track action. And yeah, it'll be great. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. I hope I don't jinx it.
Yes, I hope not. I mean, for a street race, it has always been a bit of an active race when it comes to watching.
Yeah, the only year which I remember which it didn't deliver was the very first race it ever held. Was it 2016? I can't remember now. But
I think 17.
Yeah, I remember Rosberg won that race, but that race was basically a bore fest where Rosberg was just leading throughout the race and there was no action whatsoever at the back because, I don't know, there just wasn't. So, yeah. But apart from that, Baku always delivers. So, yeah, we should expect a fun race, hopefully.
Yep, and I would be more than happy to see something like 2018 with both Red Bull drivers just going to each other. But, that might be a bit too much to hope for.
Yeah. That was the moment where Ricciardo decided he's going to leave Red Bull, by the way.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now moving on to our staple throughout all our podcasts, whether it's football, whether it's cricket, whether it's Formula 1. We have the L and Top of the week. So, starting off with L of the week, pretty obvious one, I think. I can't really think of anything else. It does have to be Mercedes. I'm sorry, guys. This was not a good weekend for you, and you know it.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very horrible weekend.
So, anyone have any other nominations?
Ricardo, definitely.
Yeah, I guess fair enough.
Getting lapped by your own
Not a good
teammate
weekend.
mustn't feel good.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that alone should be enough for him to get an L of the week, I guess.
Yep.
Because you just broke my heart, man.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
man.
but I agree, definitely. Ricardo, not the greatest of race for him. One to forget as well.
Yep. And then now, dub of the week. Well, we have Aston Martin. Very, very well deserved, I think, with the pit stop. And I would also like to say dub of the week should be going to Ferrari, especially Carlos.
Yep, definitely.
And I think we should credit
And,
Red Bull as well, because Red Bull,
Yes, of
through
course.
Checo, they actually overcut
Checo's
three
pit
cars.
was really,
Yeah.
really good. Yeah.
At one point in
so-
time, he was challenging Lando as well, so that was a pretty good move, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he actually pushed Lando quite a bit, right, towards the end.
Yeah, and Lando actually asked for radio silence from his crew. And I mean, the end of the day, fair play to him for actually managing to.
Yeah, I mean, he did
pitched it,
hold
yeah.
on, so good
Yeah.
for him.
You know the reason
That was
actually,
Lando's.
Yeah, I actually read this online. That Lando's engineer was actually super nervous about the fact that Lando actually exceeded his track limits on lap 7 itself, and Monaco being
Oh.
78 laps long, he had to ensure that he makes no mistake, otherwise he would get a 5-second penalty. So when Perez was on Lando's back, Lando just was like, he needed full focus, which is why he asked for radio silence. And I mean, I'm happy for him, man. P3 at Monaco, it doesn't get any better. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that was Lando's version of "Leave Me to It, Bono." And well, both cases ended pretty well, so good for them. But I do have an honorable mention, another one for Dub of the Week. This one guy was driving all the way at the back. Yes, he finished 3 laps behind the rest of the grid, but he didn't spin a single time, and that is, of course, Nikita Mazepin. 0 spins at Monaco.
And he
Didn't touch
finished
the wall.
and he finished ahead of Mick Schumacher as well.
That's right, he was about 3 seconds ahead of Mick, if I'm not wrong.
Oof.
Yeah, but I think Mick had some issues with the car, if I'm not wrong. I'm not too sure. But yeah.
maybe.
I think the only overtake is, if anyone remembers, at the start of the race was Mick Schumacher on Mazepin into the hairpin.
That's right, I remember that.
Yeah, that was the only
I remember
overtake.
that was
of the race.
that's a good move, actually. Very, very ballsy to go down the inside.
Yeah, it's very Adrian Sutil-like.
Yeah, yes. Yep, of course. So yeah, there you have it, our dubs of the week. But yeah, well, that brings us to the end of episode 2 of the Next Team podcast, Formula 1. And we do appreciate all your support, so thank you guys all so much for listening to us. We do hope to continue bringing you all this great content. So, well, see you guys after Baku in 2 weeks' time. Ciao, guys.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye-bye.